If you got a rejection email for a job you applied to, don't give up just yet. I'm going to tell you how you can make another run at that same position. My name is Alex. I was a Group PM at Google. I've reviewed thousands of resumes, run hundreds of interviews there, and now I help product managers not just land their dream role, but also master the practical moves that maximize the long-term compensation. Today, I'm going to walk you through why getting a rejection email after your job application is actually a positive signal, and what exactly you should do to have a good shot of getting a callback for a role where you were initially rejected. First of all, why is rejection actually a positive signal? That's right. I treat it as a positive signal because you know what's worse than rejection is just silence, just radio silence. You're sending applications, you're sending emails, nothing's coming back. When I see those automatic or manual emails come through that say, hey, sorry, we're not interested, I actually treat that as what we call inside PCA proof of life. It's basically, all right, someone somewhere has actually seen our resume. I don't care if it's a machine or it's a human, but at least our resume is actually being seen. Our application is actually being seen. When you start seeing those emails come through, first of all, treat it as a signal that tells you that you're on the right track. You just need to send either more applications and emails or higher quality, meaning more customized, more dealing with the problem that's actually being addressed in the job description, or demonstrating the experience or skill set or companies where you've worked, which actually makes sense with the job description and what it's requiring. So you may need to bump up the quantity, you may need to bump up the quality, but you may need to bump up both. And this is a very important point. Both quantity and quality are important in your job search journey. You can't just send out 5 applications and call it a day. As an example, I was talking to one PCA member today who has done 30 applications in the last 2-3 months versus someone else who has done, let's say, 30 in a week. Quantity is a big determinant in your ultimate results. Quality is the other component. We do need both. We need the applications to be high in volume, but we need them to be relevant. So check what you're doing. Sanity check your own process. We call this a full pipeline review. I want you to just assess your numbers. You're a product manager. So just look at your numbers. How many applications are you putting forward? How quickly are you applying? Are you applying to relevant roles? Are you customizing your resume, the top part of it? Are you then reaching out, emailing the recruiter or the hiring manager? If you're doing none of those, you're not really doing the quality part. And if you're doing it only once in a blue moon, then you're not doing the quantity part. Chances are you are probably weak in both of these areas, as most folks that we work with. However, once you start getting those rejection emails, it means that the quantity is at least enough to generate those emails. But I don't want you to take it at face value, because just because you got the rejection email doesn't mean that the hiring manager actually reviewed your resume. It doesn't mean that the recruiter reviewed your resume. It may be that no one actually paid attention to the resume. It may be any number of reasons of why it was actually rejected. So it could be that the recruiter misunderstood the job description. It could be that there's an automatic system rejection. Maybe there's too many applications submitted, so it just automatically rejected the candidates that came in after a certain moment. Maybe you have too few years of experience, or maybe there's another technicality that is in your resume that just kind of automatically disqualified you. How do we actually push through, and what do we do with this information? Well, the big assessment that I want you to think about is you. How well of a fit do you think you are based on everything you've done, your skill set, your previous experience, and what the job description is actually calling for? If you understand the job description well, you should be able to do an assessment, not on the overall, here's the 20 bullet points that the job description calls for, not on matching all of those bullet points, but on matching the main element of the job description. And sometimes you have to really read between the lines to understand what are they trying to actually accomplish on this job. Remember, a hiring manager put that job together and they had an idea of what they're trying to accomplish. You need to figure out what that actually is and then ask yourself, how well do you fit? Usually I like to be at least 50% match in order to apply for a job. But it's very often that we get rejected for jobs where we are 80% match, 90% match. I've heard as much as 95% match, where I've heard candidates say, this is exactly what I did successfully at such and such company with such and such results. You know that this is a person that's perfect for this role, and yet they got an automatic rejection. So what do we do from here? We assume that it's a false negative. We assume they made a mistake. They can be imperfect. So just assume there's a mistake. That means, what do we practically do? We write the recruiter, we write the hiring manager, both emails and LinkedIn. Also, if you can find a high level or a leader product role person in the company, write them as well. You want this email or message to be even shorter than your previous outreach message if you've sent one. And what you're doing in this message is just identifying, look, you have this problem. I can solve it because I've done it before right here and I've had this results. Don't overdo it. Don't even do bullets. Just put a bold statement, literally bold the statement that says, I've done this before, I can help, and just get their attention. The subject line should be designed to get their attention. The first line should be designed to get their attention. All you're doing is you're just trying to tell them, hey, I got a rejection, but I am the right person. You can not even mention about the rejection. You can just say, hey, I've applied to this role and I can solve your problem. So please either forward this to your recruiting partner or let me know when you have 15 minutes to chat about this if it is the hiring manager. So you're pushing through. You're not accepting no for an answer if you know you're a good fit. The additional good news here is that 98% of people will just stop after the rejection. Oh, they're done. They're not interested. Move on. You don't move on until a real person tells you, hey, we're not interested for such and such reason. That's how persistent I want you to be if and only if you're an actual good fit for the role. Because if you can, you're an 80%, 90% match, then it's 100% their loss. If you're a 50% match, you can accept that and just work on your quantity and quality of your applications. And just a word on that. Almost everybody does not do enough on the quantity side of things first and foremost. So this is what I think about quantity, quality, and pushing through when you've been rejected. Hopefully this has been helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Thanks very much. I'll see you next time.